Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. The scene opens in Port Charles, but not in the usual spots. A new force has quietly arrived. He's built a reputation elsewhere, but here, he's watching. Enter Gen Sidwell. He doesn't rush in with blaring announcements or grand ultimatums. Instead, he observes. He studies. He evaluates. It's early days, but the viewers already sense something is stirring. The atmosphere in Port Charles is about to shift. On the other side of this shift is Ava Jerome. Bold. Clever. Wily. A woman who knows the game, who has played it and played it well. She thrives in the shadows and the spotlight, in the deals and the betrayals. Her name brings with it history, criminal legacy, romance, redemption, and danger. The arrival of Sidwell doesn't so much surprise her as it intrigues her. Because Ava doesn't react to threats. She weighs them. She measures them. She sometimes accepts them if they're worth the risk. Now imagine that these two characters, each formidable in their own right, begin to circle one another. Sidwell, drawn in by Ava's magnetism. Ava, recognizing in Sidwell someone who might complement her ambition, or at least challenge her. The whispers have begun. Are they forming a power couple? Will one become obsessed with the other? Will two dangerous people together equal one explosive outcome? In the week of November 3rd to 7th, an episode stands out. It's when Ava does something that captures Sidwell's attention. Something that speaks to her confidence, her boldness, and her willingness to step into the unknown. The article describes it as an act that intrigues Sidwell and leaves him feeling more drawn to her. It's the kind of moment Ava engineers with precision. She's not reckless. She's deliberate. She knows what she wants. And in Port Charles, that often means playing multiple sides, forging new alliances, and shifting loyalties. Sidwell notices. And once a man like him notices, things escalate. Now let's unpack the undercurrents. Sidwell's reputation is already ominous, dangerous, calculated. He's purchased the iconic Cassadine estate Windermere, a symbol of power, legacy, and darkness in its own right. Ava, on her side, is part of the Jerome crime family. She has roots that run deep, connections that matter, and a past that refuses to stay buried. When they begin to lean toward each other, we're not looking at tender romance. We're looking at convergence of ambition, danger, and perhaps obsession. Sidwell may begin to regard Ava not simply as an ally, but as a prize. He may become fixated on her, on the idea of her, on what she represents. Ava may find the attention flattering, but also manipulative. She's aware of his capabilities, his history. And she also knows the risks. Because Sidwell has criminal tendencies and chaos he might drag Ava into down the road. What would that look like? Picture late-night meetings at Windermere, the dark halls echoing with whispers of deals, threats, and shifting loyalties. Ava enters in her world. Sidwell watches. He offers a proposition. A partnership. He hints at his power. She counters with her own. Then the line begins to blur. Business turns personal. Admiration turns into obsession. Possession begins to erode boundaries. Meanwhile, others around them sense the danger. They warn. They intervene. They shadow the edges. For instance, Lucas Jones sees the signs and he worries. He may hear alarms sounding in his mind about Sidwell. Lucas doesn't fully trust Sidwell. He has reason not to. And when Ava dismisses his concern, claiming she's in control, the danger rises exponentially. Because when someone like Ava says, "I've got this," you know the writers are about to test just how much she's got. We might ask, why is Ava drawn towards Sidwell? There are multiple layers. First, power. Ava has had power, lost power, regained power. She knows that aligning with Sidwell offers new opportunities, territory, control, unpredictability. Second, challenge. Sidwell is not like the usual men who orbit around her. He's the predator, not the prey. The shift from her stalking the scene to someone stalking her intrigues her. Third, legacy. The Jerome lineage, the Cassadine lineage, the powerhouses of Port Charles, they intersect. Ava knows that history counts and Sidwell seems to be writing his own. Meanwhile, Sidwell's fixation may be fueled by more than attraction. It's strategy. Having Ava aligned means flooding into new territory. But also, sometimes the obsession isn't about winning something, it's about owning something. In this case, owning Ava's loyalty, Ava's attention, Ava's influence. And when that level of obsession takes hold, very bad things can follow. The article warns, if Ava becomes Sidwell's fixation, he could get territorial and let his oversized sinister side take over. That's not romance. That's danger. Let's imagine a scenario unfolding. Sidwell plants a seed. Perhaps he asks Ava to join him in a deal, subtle. Then something goes wrong. Maybe an explosion at Windmere. Maybe someone ends up missing. Maybe a threat from Sonny Corinthos' side. He comes to Ava. I got you. She believes him. She feels safe. She starts to trust. But the trust masks control. Sidwell monitors her movements, knows her associates, shapes her next step. Ava begins to feel the pull. At first, she rationalizes it. He respects me. He wants me in his world. But deep down, she senses the game turning. She senses that the man who once watched her is now controlling her. And the viewers, we watch with trepidation. Because we know that when the predator and the femme fatale combine, the result is unlikely to be a stable relationship. It's likely to be a collision course. We also know that Port Charles has a long memory. Windmere's walls hold secrets. Lives have been lost there. The Jerome name has caused upheaval. So when Sidwell and Ava move toward coupling, the stage is set for something explosive. But let's pause for a moment and look at the broader implications. If Ava falls into Sidwell's web, what happens to the other players? What happens to Lucas Jones, who cares for her? What happens to Sonny Corinthos, whose territory Sidwell is challenging? What happens to the Jerome legacy and the Cassadine legacy intertwined here? For Port Charles itself, the danger is systemic. Sidwell isn't just aligning with Ava. He's orchestrating repositioning. The alliance shifts power structures. People in Port Charles will feel it. Some will resist. Some will fall. Some will be collateral damage. A key question. Does Ava realize the depth of the spiral she may be entering? She's used to danger, yes, but she also knows where lines should be drawn. When those lines blur, the risk isn't just to her, but to those she cares about. And the article makes that clear. Ava could be setting herself up for trouble by falling for Sidwell and getting tangled up in his twisted web. That's the heart of the story. The shift from calculated play to losing control. Explore a little of the emotional texture here. Sidwell's obsession is about more than business. It's about recognition. It's about obsession as a form of admiration. He sees Ava as a reflection of what he could become. Unbound, fearless, dominant. Ava senses that admiration. She also senses a kindred spirit, a man who is not to be underestimated, a man who demands more than loyalty. He expects submission. He demands performance. And Ava, used to being in control, might be tempted, but scared. Meanwhile, those around them smell the coming storm. Lucas may try to intervene. Maybe he confronts Ava. Be careful. She brushes him off. I know what I'm doing. Lucas's concern will grow. Sidwell regards Lucas with disdain. Lucas regards Sidwell with suspicion. The tension escalates. When Lucas hears talk of Windmere, when he sees Sidwell's behavior, the alarm bell rings. His voice becomes the moral compass in this toxic dance. But the question remains, will Ava listen? At the same time, Sidwell's own world is dark. Purchasing Windmere is a move that speaks loudly. The estate's history is steeped in danger, in family feuds, in power plays. Sidwell's choice of setting reflects his aspirations. He's not just entering Port Charles, he's carving out a place in its dangerous history. And in aligning with Ava, he signals he intends to reshape that history with her by his side. But again, the focal point isn't the romance. It's the obsession. It's the very nature of what happens when someone says, "You're mine," under the guise of "we are together." When the boundaries disappear, when loyalty becomes fear, when admiration becomes dependence, that's when the real trouble begins. For Ava, the seduction of power may be intoxicating. For Sidwell, The thrill of possession may become insatiable. We should also consider what happens if the obsession hits its tipping point. Sidwell might shift from being Ava's partner to her captor, emotionally, financially, physically. He might isolate her, control her contacts, monitor her moves, demand greater displays of loyalty. The moment Ava realizes she's no longer the one in control will be a moment of horror, not just for her, but for viewers who will see the downward spiral. And in a show like General Hospital, the local stakes include bloodshed, betrayal, consequences. What about Ava's identity in this? She has always been both predator and prey. She's navigated the darker side of Port Charles's underworld. She has emerged. She has challenged. She has survived. But the idea of being the target of an obsession is new territory. She's accustomed to playing the game, less accustomed to being played. The notion that someone might want her not for who she is but for what she represents is chilling. And seeing Sidwell's gaze fixed on her is the trigger. For the audience, it's layered. Watch as Ava tries to maintain control, tries to leverage the relationship, tries to benefit. Watch as Sidwell's charm gives way to menace. Watch as external characters, Lucas, Sunny, others, attempt to intervene. The tension builds. And because both characters are so capable, the eventual fall is not because they're incompetent. It's because they're hubristic. They believe they can handle the danger. They believe they're untouchable. Port Charles history proves otherwise. In the forthcoming episodes, big moments loom. Will Sidwell ask Ava to move into Windermere? Will he ask for a greater commitment? Will he assert territorial measures? The article notes that, if this keeps up, Sidwell could get serious about Ava and his obsession might take over. So the early flirtations become something far crueler. Sidwell's possessiveness may manifest in overt control. Perhaps he arranges for Ava to be followed. Perhaps he uses her debts or secrets as leverage. Perhaps he drags her into a criminal plot, forcing her into decisions she never thought she'd make. At the same time, audiences will watch for Ava's response. Will she see the trap? Will she fight? Or will she rationalize her way deeper? Because denial is the first step into the snare. She might tell herself, he respects me. This is power. I'm safe. But the red flags are flashing. Lucas warns. The visuals hint. The narrative voice whispers. The viewers know. This is a disaster in slow motion. It's not just about two characters. It's about power dynamics, about obsession, about control masquerading as partnership. It's about attraction and fear, admiration and dread, ambition and collapse. And that's what makes this storyline so riveting. It's not the usual will they slash won't they. It's who will break first and how badly. Let's talk about the impact on the rest of Port Charles. When Sidwell aligns with Ava, he aligns with the Jerome clan legacy. That reignites tensions with Sunny Corinthos. Sunny has long held dominance in the city and sees challenges as threats. Sidwell's takeover of Windermere is a warning. Ava aligning with him doubles that warning. Others pick sides. Alliances shift. Some will think, get out while you can. Some will dive deeper. For the show, it means high stakes, big action, emotional fallout. And for Ava, there's a personal cost. The woman who has always balanced danger and glamour may find herself stripped of her edge. The puppet master may become puppet. Her heart may begin to wobble. She may fear the powerhouse she thought she was partnering with is grooming her for more than business. The question becomes, will she escape the obsession before it consumes her? Or will she be complicit, blinded by the moment, seduced by the promise of power? As viewers, part of the thrill is the anticipation. Will she wake up? Will someone help her wake up? Will Lucas dig himself into the fray and expose Sidwell? Will Sunny crash the party, pulling the plug on Sidwell's takeover? Will Ava's past catch up and force her to choose? The tension ramps. The time to watch is now. The flirtation has passed. The alliance is forming. The obsession is germinating. As episodes air, everything will accelerate. Small provocations will become major moves. Sidwell will test Ava's loyalty. Ava will test Sidwell's patience. Port Charles will feel the tremors. And in that union of Sidwell and Ava, the show lays the groundwork for one of its most dangerous partnerships, or one of its greatest disasters. They might become the ultimate power couple of Port Charles. or they might implode spectacularly. Because when obsession is at the root of a union, the marriage is already doomed. So keep your eyes on those meaningful glances, the innocuous invitations, the late-night conspiratorial meetings, and the House of Cards diplomacy. They're not just idle rhythms, they're the setup. And when the pieces fall, they won't just crack, they'll shatter. In short, Jen Sidwell has found a match in Ava Jerome, but he may not have found an equal. He may have found someone he intends to dominate, someone he intends to own. And in Port Charles, the price of that is steep. For Ava, for him, for anyone caught in between. The obsession ignites. The couple is forming. And big trouble is heading straight into the heart of Port Charles. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for all of your updates.